So we can also do this as a shot. Did everybody get their cups? Can we show our cups?
I know you guys like, I can't
Mine's
believe
over
she
there.
sent me a paper cup.
Yeah, I did get a box and I was like, oh, this is sweet.
If you guys hold your cup up, we can get like at least a still shot.
Oh, let me go and get my cup. Go ahead. It might take me a minute to get up.
Oh, that's okay, mommy. Sit down. We are expecting any day now. Is that right?
Any day.
At
Oh,
any
wow.
moment, we will
That's
have
awesome.
a new angel, a new spellweller coming in.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I think we should get it. We have
You
it.
got it.
Awesome.
Thank
It's going to be on the recording. You can always
Oh yeah, that's right.
do that. So real
Gotcha.
quick, we wanted to talk about Woman King. Did everybody see the movie?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's go around the room. I thought it'd be simple if everybody had one word that they can just use to describe the movie. And I was amazed about my word that hit me. But does anybody want to go first, or do y'all want me to jump in?
I can start it for me. When I saw the movie 3 times, and
Oh wow,
I know.
Dang, I thought I was the one that did that.
It was just all I could think about, the fact that it was such a beautiful experience, even though it had all the fighting and everything like that, but the foundation of it, the importance of it, the awareness of it, everything that's going to come from it was just a beautiful experience.
awesome. I agree. Totally agree.
For me, the word that comes to mind is resilience.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I saw when I think of that film. Just the resilience, like just to keep going, to never giving up.
You even saw resilience in the little girl.
Yes. Yeah.
You even saw her resilience in the little girl.
Yes.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah.
For me, the word was legacy. The legacy. You know, I think I don't know where I saw this where it says legacy is not what you leave. Legacy is what you lead. And I'm like, they're leading a legacy that is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. And the little girl didn't even know her legacy. Again, it's like she didn't even know that her legacy. And then she did, and then what's her name?
Nani, which was
the main character.
That was what Viola, I think that was the name of Viola.
Viola didn't even know her legacy was still alive. Like it was just, legacy was, all up in there. For me, the word was, so it was a certain point where she had come back, and it wasn't even it wasn't the last battle, but it was one of the battles, and she was walking through the crowd and everybody was cheering, and she stopped at the king. And I just thought humility. Like, you just done, that was my word. Like, God just was like, you see her humility? Like, she done out here and kicked everybody's tail. Everybody's cheering for her. And then she just walks back and humbles her head, like, and serves this man, this king that she really could whoop, you know, but you know, like, she could whoop him, and I don't need you to tell me I'm a woman king. I know I am, you know. But the humility that she displayed in still serving, knowing that her power, and people see her power. Not only do I know my power, but people are praising me for my power, and I still humble myself. And so that was the word that stuck out for me, is her humility within her power. Karen, did you?
You're on mute, Pia.
I'm mute.
Oh.
For me, it was connection. The relationships and the bonds that were forged, among these women who didn't know each other initially. They were brought together. in some cases, not even through because of the best
Yeah.
of circumstances.
Yeah.
But they came into this setting and they connected on a level that was so deep.
Yeah.
You know, the woman, the one that, you know, was in love with the
The white man, was he white or mixed?
he was biracial. So
Biracial.
he was the son of a slave and a white man, and had, you know, grew up in London, and kind of that whole disconnect, like, what am I? You know, am I Black? You know, am I African?
Yeah.
I have these roots. Anyway, but, you know, she clearly fell in love with him. But when it came time to make the decision whether she would go with him or whether she would stay with her sisters, she chose the connection with these
Mm.
women that she had forged a bond with. And I just, for me, it was connection.
How do you think that they connected, or how could you, so if you, it was to tell somebody how the connection was made, do you know what it was?
So I think it was, you know, commitment to a singular purpose. You know, they knew what it was they came to do, and they connected over that. And I think the understanding also, I think it makes a huge difference when you know that your life is literally in somebody's hands.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they connected over their mission, over their purpose, and then their sisterhood, you know, kind of was forged from that. And it was, you know, it was as strong as if they had been born into sisterhood.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was connection. And even beyond the women, you know, the woman king's connection to the king. And like you said, you know, even knowing her power, but understanding like roles and what her expectation was, and, you know, what her positioning was, and being okay with that, being comfortable
Yeah.
in her strength and what the connection was of her role, you know, within their, I don't know, for lack of a better term, ecosystem, you know, and their hierarchy. So for it was connection for me.
I feel like I would jump ahead to the second question first, based off of your word. Like, what can we take from the movie and put it towards today? And I'm thinking, far as even spell well, what would be the connection? How would we connect the, you know, the spell of the Wellers, you know, the spell Wellers? How do we connect each other? What can we do to build a new legacy? You know, a new mental health legacy in changing something into beautiful, even as we go through all of these battles, just seeing the beautiful bigger picture. So it's beautiful. I think Leslie, Karen, and Davida.
It's Davida. My one word was, it was empowering to see the sisterhood amongst the different, like we were saying, the different generations, because there were different generations of the women that were a part of the regime.
That's very true.
And to see their different takes on how to utilize their weapons, number one. But then number two was to show that there is room for new ways. So it was like new ideas with older traditional ways that they've been accustomed to, and to show that it doesn't, like, sometimes you may not want to do the traditional way. You want to do it your own way, a new and improved way. But before everybody could catch on to the new and improved way, you do need to know and understand how things were done in the past in order to bring everybody up to speed here in the present for the future.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I think we do have to build more tables that intertwine the youth and the older, you know, and us sitting together and knowing, being open to the wisdom that comes from both sides of a youth and a older person. And so I definitely agree that they displayed that, you know, as that's also the connection, is their willingness to learn from each other at a certain point, you know?
Right.
But
They also connected different tribes.
yeah,
I mean,
that's very true.
that was a huge pivotal moment because, you know, at that time it was tribe against tribe, but once you stepped into that kingdom, you were all sisters. You were all women.
Right.
And so a lot of the times, Black women are pitted against each other
Yeah.
all the time. The color is natural hair, not everything. Society pits us towards each other on so many levels and so many degrees. But in that movie, it didn't matter what tribe you were from. It didn't matter what color your hair was. It didn't matter anything. Once you stepped inside that kingdom,
Yeah.
you were sisters, you were bonded. You were going to protect your sister, whether you were from the east side, west side, or whatever. And even though they spend about 5 seconds on that little you know, communication that they had between each other, it was like powerful.
Yeah.
She was literally like, listen, we don't do that here.
That's yeah.
And I wish that we can say that in society, period, as Black women. We don't do that here. So to have that translated to the Spellwellers and have that translated within this community, I think it'd be awesome because we don't say it enough and we don't do it enough.
Yeah. You know, I think that I definitely agree we don't do it enough, but I don't think it's seen enough. Like even this conversation right here, it's not seen enough. It's not seen enough on TV. It's not seen enough like in commercial. It's just not seen enough. But I think more so it's seen as far as the fighting. It's more entertaining. Entertaining. You know, that's more viral as far as seeing us fight about hair color or skin tone or different sets or where we're from. But far as if there was a picnic where everybody was invited, it wouldn't be shown. You know, this type of stuff wouldn't be shown. So definitely need more. Not even that we need more representation, is we need more visual, you know, for people to see
more positive representation.
Yes. Yeah.
And where, you know, more, you know, narrative and video of us lifting each other up as opposed to throwing a drink across the table in a, you know, reality TV show, you know, charging across the room to fight our sisters. It, you know, it is showing us trying to help each other heal, normalizing getting healthy as opposed to showing our, you know, our hurt, our dysfunction.
Our fight. Showing our fight. Like we keep showing.
And the fight is part of us being unhealthy. So instead of showing us being unhealthy, normalize the quest for healing and wholeness as opposed to our brokenness.
Yeah.
And being vulnerable too. Being able to express what's really going on with you. And that's okay. That's where it begins.
As opposed to saying, I'm fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Or, you know, one of the things that I've seen it in Black men, but it is really prevalent in Black women too, because we are supposed to have a strong backbone, buck up, suck it up, buttercup, you're going to be fine. And so we get used to
that. Yeah.
We get used to, you know, saying we're okay when we're not okay. But my observation is that the emotion that is more socially acceptable is anger as opposed to hurt and sadness. Like we can articulate the anger. That pissed me off. She got on my nerves, blah, 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 blah. But we are not comfortable saying that hurt.
That's
you know, I'm sad. I'm depressed. I feel anxious, you know, that sort of thing. And so, you know, part of the stigma of, you know, mental health and mental health treatment in our community, I think stems from, you know, when we say we're sad, when we say we're anxious, when we say we're depressed, you know, people's, you know, their vocabulary goes straight to crazy. And it is the negative of the messages that we've gotten that you've got to be strong, you know, because there's no help out there for you, that you got to keep it moving, you know. So we've got to normalize the new messaging.
Very true.
Mm.
Very good. Uh-oh,
Wow.
Leslie, you're muted.
I was just thinking, you said, how do we make this connection to the Spellwell mission? As all of these beautiful words are just flowing, I'm thinking of creating this safe space to be caring, to be loving. I think that's another visual that we don't see. It's because there's this image, there's so many stereotypes about women of color, specifically Black women, African-American women. Do we create space to demonstrate that we can be nurturing, that we aren't that person who has to jump out in front, that we can be sensitive, and creating a safe space to convey that to another sister, but also a safe space to question, is mental health the way? And if it isn't the way, then okay, how can I support you? The other thing that resonated, someone mentioned that, when you're in this space, it's all about the collective, the greater good. And I see that as a part of the mission too. This is about the greater good specifically for women of color, but then look what that does. How does that elevate our communities and the world? And within this space, again, support, respect, and a knowledge base that meets the needs of that individual, as opposed to just reaching certain aspects of the population. So
Yeah. When you were talking about this safe space, I thought about the Woman King and how they went behind their the closed doors. Everybody couldn't come into that space when they were training, when they were training, when they were resting, when they were sleeping. They created a safe space, and so behind those closed doors is where they fueled up, where they connected, and then they went out and did the battle. And so also teaching, I think a part of Spellwell can also teach creating safe spaces, knowing your safe space, and knowing everybody don't need to see my safe space. This is not the place for me to bring my camera, and post everything. But let me get fueled up, and then I can go out into the world and battle what I need to battle, or discover the world, but showing them also how to create safe spaces. I think that as I've gotten older, I've learned that, that everybody don't need to be in your upper room, but teaching that at a young age, or when I say young age, even in your 20s and 30s, to know that you have to, your mental wellness also comes with you creating some boundaries and some safe spaces. And so I like the idea of us also creating that. Let's close these doors and get in our, get with our tribe and huddle up, great. I think Karen is last one.
Okay, so I wrote down dynamic coalitions, kind of umbrella to almost everything that everybody has shared. Even I've read all the comments about the movie, the fact that it was written by two white women and, they shouldn't be telling our story. But on the other hand, I'm glad somebody wrote it and that there was the opportunity to share the story. And I think both within the film and all I mean, if you haven't read all the controversy around it, you should check it out. We need dynamic coalitions. And so everybody's wellness is not going to look the same. They're not going to need the same kind of navigation and support. And I just think that is one of the films I think that would be a good, I don't know, teaching tool discussion for Spellwell.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to hear you say that, Karen, because one of the things that I've been stating more as I'm growing and learning in terms of Spellwell is the question that we want to ask is, how do you spell well? What does that mean for you? And it doesn't need to mean the same thing. And beautiful part is if we have different ways sharing, exchanging what that wellness plan is for me will help someone else. It will help me improve mine, because it will help us to engage in knowing that if I'm not okay, it's okay. There is something that I can do. There is something just for me to get to that place of wellness because I have this safe place, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's the thought of the well, you know, an actual well, you know, it can't be empty. You have to restore. It has to be poured into. A lot of times many of us women of color have not felt like we were poured into. Even within our immediate family dynamic, we may not have felt that. And it doesn't mean because someone wasn't there or didn't want the best for us, you know, it just meant that they didn't have it to give. But if we start to have a well that's not empty, what would we look like as a tribe?
Yeah.
What would that look like?
And I think going to looking at my well, I think that it's good for what Karen mentioned far as it's wonderful that a white person wrote it. Thank you. You know, thank you, because you were able to me sometimes you were able to, you have the, I don't want to say the privilege, but you have the ability to maybe stop and do that I may not have the ability to do. And so thank you for stopping and doing that, because you didn't have to write the story about this Black, you know, child, but you did. And so thank you for bringing this to the table, because what you're also is because you have the privilege of being at the table. And so I think we have to realize that we all need each other. There's definitely a need for a brown and Black people for as mental health. And I feel like when I go to work, my coworkers, which are predominantly white, everybody in their family going to has a counselor and a therapist. Like I realize it's a luxury. Like they've been doing this. Where the stigma come on us that this is so negative, you know? And so I just think that we all we kind of also need to catch up in a way, but we all need each other. So I'm glad that they wrote it. That's wonderful. I think it's wonderful that they did that because they didn't have to. That's how I would look at it. But I think that we all need each other, and we're going to have to work together because there's tables that we as Black and brown people do not know about, or we know about and we don't have access to. And so it's going to take somebody of the lighter hue to invite us or make us aware. And so we all need each other. That's how I kind of look at that when we're talking about some of the things that are being said about the movie in the lighter hue. Leslie, did you have something else?
No, I just, every time someone says something, I'm like, oh my goodness, it inspires something else. But, you know, that's such a good point. And one thing that just some of the feedback, but we look at who is the director. The director is a woman of color, African American. And one thing I saw an interview with her, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name, but what I really respected about her, and it kind of connects just the whole, it's similar to the Spellwell mission, is that she talked about preparing the cast. And it was really important for her to engage in that intense physical training to prepare for the roles. She didn't want to just ask her cast to do that. She did the full, you know, months, really. I mean, it's really intensive training. And I just think about kind of what our mission and the role is that in addition to connecting people to resources, mental health resources, we're taking care of ourselves, we're contributing information, supporting one another. And so it's just something to think about. It's just, even when we have coalitions and we come together, I think individuals who have the privilege to be in a leadership position or to share resources have to also dig deep and ask themselves, am I taking care of myself so I can continue this work? Am I modeling the work that it takes to maintain wellness? So Just a
Good.
thought.
It's really
And
good.
Leslie, that for me, that brought up Talisha, you talked about it, luxury. And, our mental health isn't a luxury.
Mhm.
We have approached mental health care, except in extreme cases where, people are struggling with, profound disorders.
Yeah.
But if it's just because we're a little blue, we're feeling some anxiety, we put that on the back burner. We wouldn't do that for our physical selves. Well, some of us would, but
Yeah.
I think that for me, it brought up the how important it is to acknowledge the physical, mental connection, that, we treat them separately and we do different things to ensure physical wellness and mental wellness, but, the importance of having them aligned.
Yeah.
Just like she had the cast, in order to perform those roles, they had to, they had to condition. But I think it's, equally important that we are emotionally conditioned and mentally, conditioned. Yeah, it's just there's such a connection,
Yeah.
and I think when we start talking about what's in our toolkit for our personal wellness, neither one is a luxury,
Agree. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time. I think next month we'll even find something to chat about, to just kind of I'm thinking we just take snippets of it and just put it on the social media. But we still, this is also going to be our safe space,
Yes.
and so we
Yes.
want to respect that too, but
Yes.
also just using this as an example of, this is women from our connection is Spellwell. And so, but we're making something beautiful out of it. We are all from different places, but we're coming together and connecting, and building something. And I can see it more than just, I can see more stuff coming out of this. So I'm excited. And thank you, Carla, for bringing this together.
Thank you, guys. I mean, thank you sounds like such a simplified way of expressing really what my heart feels. For you guys just being a part of this. Tiara always reminds me that this is the word she uses. This is dope. And that keeps me going, that this is dope. And so I just thank you guys from just the bottom and the top of my heart for what you're doing, for serving in this way. And I promise to do my very best to not squander or take that for granted. So I'm going to end with our our inspiration for Spellwell. I think Pia kind of captured this when I shared it on the last huddle. So I'm going to end with this. And it says, if I could give my daughter 3 things, it would be the confidence to always know her self-worth, the strength to chase her dreams, and the ability to know how deeply loved she is, to feel and to know that in her soul.
Yeah.
So that's really what this is all about. This is legacy. This is transforming. This is healing. I feel like it's my purpose.